royal matters now, and the King was joined by the Queen, Prince William, Princess Catherine. This was at a Buckingham Palace reception last night. Very posh.
Because I don't think they ever do Buckingham Palace receptions that aren't posh, do they?
No, you're right, yeah. But everybody was there. That wasn't last night, was it?
Lots of dignitaries. No, I don't think so.
It wasn't. No,
that was.
Yeah. But anyway, this is the start of the festive period for the royals. It's an annual gathering, and it welcomes people from the diplomatic corps in the staterooms at Buckingham Palace.
Well, the timing of this really interesting, right slap bang in the middle of Prince Harry's High Court challenge. Unprecedented, as we were hearing earlier, for a member of the royal family to take on His Majesty's government. He's challenging the Home Office over his security protection when he visits the UK. The Duke of Sussex says that his security status has been downgraded after he stopped being a working royal.
Joining us now, the former head of Royal Protection, Dai Davies. Dai, the decision to downgrade his security status, I believe that's made by the Metropolitan Police. I believe that's a police call, nothing to do with the royal family, unless you'd care to correct me.
Well, I'm sorry, I would have to correct you. It's actually made by a Home Office committee for the protection of royals and very important people, so-called. So it is away from the decision-making of the Metropolitan Police. Clearly, it's the Royalty Protection Command that actually then carry out the protection, both of royals, senior royals, and ministers, the prime ministers, and other key figures in the government. So that's the issue here. But if I may say so, the whole case rests around what I regard as the best word in the English language, called reasonable. And what he says is that his treatment by this committee, one, he wasn't allowed to make representations, and two, their action consequently was unreasonable. That's the basis of this review as I understand it.
Now, that's how you understand it. Do you agree with it, Dai? I mean, as a former head of royal security, do you think it was a reasonable assessment?
Well, yes, given the criteria, again, as I understand it, set for protecting royals, he stepped out of this nearly 4 years ago now, and as a consequence was no longer a working royal. What you have to take into account, irrespective of whether he is a working royal or not, what is the threat? What is the evidence? And again, it's not a science. Clearly, there are issues that affect him. And unfortunately, his own behavior in the last 3 or 4 years, frankly, has added to his own risk in one sense, because he can't keep his mouth shut. His version of truth is often at variance with what everybody else thinks of truth. So for somebody who wants privacy, he's certainly gone about it the wrong way if he's so fearful as to his security. So I would respect it, but I would go on evidence vis-a-vis any other criteria for protecting him and indeed his family.
Dai, is he fair to be even more concerned, though? I mean, given that he named or numbered the number of Taliban that he'd killed whilst serving in active duty in Afghanistan, I mean, that will make him a bit more of a target, won't it? And he is already in line to the throne, so he does have legitimate security concerns, and it's a difficult job as well, to keep these people safe.
Well, yes, and that's why the committee have decided that on a basis-to-basis, case-to-case event, when he deems to honour us with his person in this country, in other words, we're all very honourable when he does come back, that we should provide armed protection. He does get unarmed protection because he has former royalty protection officers who actually accompany him now. He's paying for those. His criteria is he should have Metropolitan Police armed protection. Well, again, one has to take this case by case, because unfortunately we've never had precedent for this. So the judge will decide whether in all the circumstances it is reasonable that you and I pay what is very, very expensive officers to actually protect him. But I say again, as a principle, you have a duty to, as it were, help yourself. With great respect, he's got 4 cases now going against various bodies, including the Mirror, the Mail, and all the rest of it. For somebody who's so conscious as to his security, he certainly has a strange way of going about it. And as I say, he wants armed protection. Well, the truth is, historically, the number of incidents where the Metropolitan Police have had to draw firearms in protection is so rare, it goes off the scale. The last real attempt was Princess Anne when she was almost kidnapped in the Mall. And you've had 1 or 2 imitation firearms. Yes, in Northern Ireland and other places, you've had people try and attack the royals when they go there. And that his great-great-uncle was obviously bombed. But yes, attacks do take place. But you have to make a balanced risk. If you look in America, that's where he lives. The crime rate and the violence rate is so out of scale to the UK, even without all of this.
Dai, let me ask you, you talk about America, and he obviously pays for armed protection there. You say he gets unarmed protection here. Is it possible that you can upgrade that and you can pay from the Met, you can pay the Met to have armed protection?
No, you can't. It would be setting a very bad precedent, because if you give it to Harry or anyone like Harry of his status, where do you stop? And there's a finite number of officers, men and women, who, in my opinion, are exceptional. They are great people. They do a hell of a good job, and they keep people safe. And we do it uniquely in the British way, without shaven heads and all the rest of it. But yes, it's a balance. And the word reasonable, and that's what the judge will decide on, presumably, the evidence put forward. What is interesting also, just what I say, he says that 2 members of that committee, as I understand it, were prejudiced against him. And therefore there was an issue as to whether he was treated fairly. I don't know, you don't know, and the rest of us don't know, because most of this will be held in secret. But it's a balance, as I say, and hopefully common sense will apply.
Well, thank you very much
common
indeed.
sense applies from you, Dai Davies. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks. Dai is a former head of Royal Security. Thank you very much indeed.